Hello, welcome to the Xpress-pay Knowledge Center interview series. My name is Melissa Rogozinski and I'll be your host today. Our programs are designed to give you useful and practical nuggets to help you manage your e-payment process, service, and industry relationships. Today is Thursday, August 2nd, 2018, and our guest is Jim Buttino. Jim is the president and CEO of Systems East. We're here today to discuss the importance of electronic payments over traditional cash payment methods. Welcome to the show today.
Good afternoon, Melissa. Thank you for the invitation.
So, Jim, let's talk a little bit about your role in Systems East and how you started this company. You've been in this business for 36 years. How has the internet changed the way that we buy and purchase products and services?
I think the main change overall over the period of several decades that we've been in business is that originally we went from large-scale computers to localized PC networks. Everything was done in-house, and now we're back to the distributed platform through networks, through connections, and now on the internet. Commerce used to be you actually had to go visit brick and mortar, and now you can actually buy anything you want online. And beyond that, though, is that we have bill payments and all kinds of information that's available that we didn't have even as recently as a decade ago.
So let's talk about some of the benefits of using e-payment solutions. Now that we're buying things on the internet, people are using credit cards, debit cards, ACH transactions, things like that. What are some of the benefits that organizations can offer their consumers if they're using an e-payment solution?
One of the major benefits for any business that gets on the internet, and that goes for benevolent organizations as well, is the ease of messaging, the ease of information, and even financial exchange between the organization and the consumer or the supporter. Once a business makes its presence known on the internet, that's great for information and for contact and so on, but the next step is really with e-payments. There, consumers can visit their website. They really expect the company to certainly have a web presence and also to offer an e-commerce presence. If that operation simply sells product, they want to be able to buy it there. If they owe a utility bill or a doctor's bill, it's just assumed that they're going to be able to pay it online nowadays. Years ago, it was fax machines. If you didn't have a fax machine, they'd wonder if you were operating out of your garage. These days, now we're really looking at, can you accept internet payments? And if not, it raises a big question mark. So there's generally an assumption that you'll accept payments online. The next step is that in the evolution of e-payments is it's not enough to just accept payments online. You really want to have a professional web presence. So with respect to our product, Xpress-pay, we have custom graphics for every merchant. They're designed and placed for every merchant. So it gives them a professional appearance as far as being consistent with their website. The captions that we ask for are all customizable. So it really seamlessly integrates to the website for the merchant. Is that Xpress-pay, it becomes a bit of a chameleon so that it emulates what the merchant's website looks like so the consumer can feel comfortable with it. And another very important aspect, of course, is security. Lots of times people used to receive in the mail, write down your credit card number and your CVV number, which is not even allowed to be recorded, and you mail in your payment that way, or you sit down and write out a check and you mail it and the business gets it many days later. They have to stack those up, take them to the bank. They're credited to the account several days later. So with internet payments, not only can you receive payments more quickly, you can also receive them 24 hours a day and in a secure manner with respect to the PCI DSS, that's the payment card industry data security standard that is imposed on all companies like us to make sure that the credit card users, the consumers, have a good experience. It's not in anyone's interest for information to be compromised by anyone. So there's a very high level of standard with respect to security. So professionalism, presentation, availability 24/7, and security are just a couple of the major advantages of joining in and offering e-commerce to your consumers.
Let's talk a little bit about data privacy and security and risk mitigation. So there is a variety of ways that people provide their credit card numbers. One of the ways I've seen is providing it over the phone. And so, being on the phone with someone, speaking your credit card number, the person on the other line is either writing it down, or even when I have my own business, I occasionally had someone who would call and give me their credit card number, and I would physically type it in to the payment solution that I was using for my business. So what are some of the ways that people offer up their credit card numbers that are not secure methods?
Well, in many cases where you have a consumer calling in to make a payment, they're presenting their credit card information verbally over the telephone. They don't know what's happening to it. And I know when I've made payments over the phone before, I ask specifically, are you typing this into a computer, and are you not storing the number? Are you? And I know what to ask because I'm in the industry. For the most part, consumers might not know what to ask. They may be very trusting. And that's why there's so many breaches, because it's so common to have your information in so many different locations. For example, with every business, if you write it down, if you mail it in, if you call it in over the phone, everybody's got your credit card number, and that's a problem. With a product like Xpress-pay, when you provide the number to Xpress-pay, Xpress-pay submits the transaction. The merchant never sees it, only Xpress-pay sees it. And we don't keep it unless you tell us to create an account so you can keep it for a later payment. So there's a big difference there. Your exposure is far less with a product like Xpress-pay because we are a payment company and we are obligated to be secure with respect to that. And you could pay 100 different merchants with Xpress-pay. Not one of them will ever see your credit card number. So there's a big difference there. Second major point is a lot of people don't know, well, credit cards, or maybe some fraud risk and so on. So they think I'll mail a check. Well, right at the bottom of your check is your routing and your account number. Checks are old technology. So besides being slow, they're certainly not secure. The routing and account number can be used to make an e-payment anywhere. Now, it would be unwise for somebody to pay their utility bill with a stolen card or a routing and account number that doesn't belong to them. It's very easily traceable. But on the other hand, we all know that you can buy goods and services and you've left a store with them. So whatever happens after that is something that you're gone with the goods, and you've got the credit issue or the check issue to resolve later. So security is paramount, and there's a lot of protections built into online payments. Another thing that a lot of people have probably heard of is the HTTPS in a website, in a URL. That means that the connection between you and the server is secure and encrypted. It does not mean that the site with which you're connecting is secure. There's no certification there to say that that site is anything. That's behind the scenes, and that's what the payment card industry data security standard is all about, PCI DSS. Very important acronym to know in this business.
So you mentioned PCI DSS. What is that? And can you talk to our consumers and our listeners about that?
Well, any merchant that accepts credit cards is obligated to comply with the PCI DSS, which is the payment card industry data security standard. Think of it as self-policing. The payment card industry, Visa, MasterCard, Discover, they don't want you to have a bad experience with their card. If you have a bad experience with a card, you may switch to cash, and that doesn't do them any good. It's not very convenient for you or for the merchant as well. So they impose the payment card industry data security standard, PCI DSS, and there are 4 levels of that. The lowest level is, let's say you own a shoe store and you're grossing $500,000, $700,000 a year. You're taking payments through a swipe machine and only for your own customers. There, since it's a swipe machine and given those circumstances, level 4, which is the lowest level of security, suffices for you. If you become a service provider, if your volume goes up, you're obligated to go to level 3, level 2, and then at the highest level of the industry is PCI DSS level 1. At level 1, you can't just say, I comply with level 1. You have to hire industry-approved contractors to come in and assess your environment. You have to have secured servers, several different servers, one for web hosting, one for database, one for information. It's a far more expensive environment. It's a far more expensive process to be PCI DSS level 1 compliant. That's your equipment and you set that up yourself. Then you hire a contractor, industry-approved contractor, to come in and run a gamut of tests over a period of months to certify that you have achieved and you are maintaining PCI level 1. And when you're dealing with banks, large-scale industries, insurance companies, anybody at high volume, and anybody that's really familiar with the industry and with security, if you don't live at PCI DSS level 1, they won't talk to you because they don't want to assume the risk if you're at 2 and certainly 3 or 4.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And just to let our listeners know that upcoming articles and interviews are going to dive deep into PCI DSS, and we are working on a a 1-hour continuing education presentation regarding PCI DSS and other security certifications and standards for any organization that manages electronic data of any kind. So Jim, before we wrap this up, is there anything else that you would like to offer our audience about the benefits of using electronic payment solutions?
Well, I think that that's self-evident. We see a massive migration from checks and credit cards, in-person transactions, to now we've got P2P or person-to-person payments. We've got electronic payments. We've got electronic donations. We have different ways of doing things. We can mitigate costs by assessing a site fee, which we charge as a bill delivery and security fee that we can also share with the merchant as a commission. So there are a number of different business models available on this scale to help merchants not only jump into the 21st century and receiving e-payments and receive e-payments in a professional-like environment with their own logo and so on, but we can also help them. There are methods to help them mitigate the costs and share in the benefits of e-payments along with their consumers. And across the board is always elevated security, which I'd like to make a final point that the elevated security is really contrary to popular belief. People think I'm going to mail my credit card number. Mail is far more secure than an internet payment. It's just not true. Properly handled, a credit card payment, especially through a third-party service like our own, it goes over an HTTPS secure connection. We process the transaction on behalf of the merchant. The merchant gets the money, but we process the transaction and the merchant never sees the credit card number. So security is vastly elevated. Convenience, it goes without saying. If I can receive a bill and there's a code on it, or I can get an email and click a link, and I can pay that bill inside of 10 seconds because I have a digital wallet and I want to use that card to pay that bill, the convenience factor is huge. And a last point would be that benevolent organizations really need to catch on to this, because if you can make it easy for me to donate $1, $5, $10 with 10 seconds on my phone, I'm going to do that. If you make me sit down, write a check, mail a check, remember a URL, that's not going to happen. So we've got a lot of ground to cover, but we've got a lot of ground covered already. So we're in pretty good shape there.
Excellent, excellent. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up our time today. And once again, I want to thank Jim for joining us on the Knowledge Center interview series and discussing the benefits of electronic payments over traditional cash payments. Please join us next time. We'll be diving into the process of electronic payment solutions and how to navigate understanding it, selecting your merchants, setting up merchant accounts, and other ideas that are critical to that process. So thanks again for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Or if you have an idea you think we should discuss, leave it in a comment below.